The ranch has never faced a storm like this before. After Rob Will took control, everything started falling apart faster than anyone expected. But now, the biggest threat to his power may not come from outside enemies. It may come from the secrets he tried to bury. Sheriff Wade is getting closer to the truth. Beth is searching for the evidence that could destroy Rob Will. And the people who once stayed silent are finally preparing to fight back. Episode 9 could become the turning point where every hidden lie begins to collapse. Rob Will believes he has won because he controls the ranch, but he does not realize that power built on fear can disappear in a single moment. The question everyone is asking now is simple. How long can Rob Will survive when the people around him start turning against him? The pressure is building, the investigation is moving forward, and one piece of evidence could change everything. If Sheriff Wade finally connects the missing pieces, and if Beth discovers what Rob Will has been hiding, the future of Dutton Ranch may never be the same again. After everything that happened in the previous episode, Dutton Ranch is entering a dangerous new chapter. Rob Will may look stronger than ever, but behind that confidence is a growing fear that his control is slipping away. Taking power was the easy part. Keeping that power is where the real battle begins. Since Beulah's hospitalization, Rob Will has acted like the ranch already belongs to him. He has made decisions without listening to the people who have protected this land for years. He believes that being in charge means everyone must follow his orders, but he is slowly discovering that respect cannot be forced. The ranch workers are beginning to notice the changes. The atmosphere that once felt like family now feels filled with tension and uncertainty. People are watching their words carefully, avoiding conflict, and waiting to see what Rob Will does next. But fear does not create loyalty forever. Eventually, people start asking questions, and those questions can become dangerous. Rob Will's biggest mistake may be believing that everyone around him is powerless. He sees Beth as someone who reacts emotionally. He sees Rip as someone who will always protect the ranch. He sees Walkan as someone who will eventually accept the situation. But Rob Will may have misunderstood all of them. The truth is that every person on the ranch has reached a breaking point. Walkan's situation may be the most complicated. For years, he has carried responsibilities that others never understood. He protected the family, solved problems, and made sacrifices because he believed the ranch was worth fighting for. But after Beulah chose Rob Will during such a critical moment, something inside him changed. That decision created a distance that cannot easily be repaired. Walkan is no longer just trying to protect the ranch. Now he is trying to understand whether the people he protected were protecting him in return. This emotional conflict could push Walkan toward a decision that changes everything. Instead of staying quiet and accepting Rob Will's leadership, he may finally decide to expose the truth. He knows the ranch better than anyone. He knows its history, its secrets, and the mistakes people have tried to hide. And that makes him one of Rob Will's biggest threats. Meanwhile, Sheriff Wade continues following the trail that Rob Will hoped would disappear forever. For a long time, the investigation had too many missing pieces. There were unanswered questions, unclear events, and information that did not connect completely. But now, the situation is changing. Every secret leaves behind evidence. Every lie creates another problem. And every person who helped cover the truth becomes a possible weakness. Sheriff Wade may begin discovering connections that were hidden in plain sight. Small details that seemed meaningless before could suddenly reveal a much bigger picture. A conversation nobody remembered, a decision that seemed normal, or information someone tried to erase could become the evidence that finally exposes Rob Will. The most dangerous moment for Rob Will not come when someone attacks him openly. It will come when he realizes people are quietly working against him. That is when desperation begins. Rob Will has always depended on control. He controls situations by intimidating people, making quick decisions, and staying one step ahead of everyone else. But investigations cannot be controlled the same way. The truth has a way of appearing when people least expect it. As Sheriff Wade gets closer, Rob Will may begin making mistakes. He may start questioning the people around him. He may wonder who is loyal and who has already turned against him. But the more pressure he puts on people, the more enemies he creates. And that could become his biggest weakness. At the same time, Beth is preparing for her own battle. She understands something that Rob Will does not. Winning a fight is not only about strength, it is about knowing exactly when to make a move. Beth has never been someone who acts without thinking. While others may react with anger, she studies the situation and waits for the right moment. She knows that confronting Rob Will without proof will only create more problems. So instead, she may begin searching for the one thing that can destroy his position completely. Evidence, information, the truth. Beth understands that Rob Will's greatest advantage is the belief that nobody can prove what he has done. If that belief disappears, his entire foundation begins to collapse. This is why Episode 9 could become a major turning point. The battle is no longer just about control of the ranch. It is about exposing the truth behind everything that has happened. Rob Will is surrounded by people who are starting to question him. Sheriff Wade is getting closer. Beth is planning her next move. Walkan is reaching his limit. And somewhere in the middle of all this, the biggest secret of the season may finally come to light. Because when the truth finally arrives, nobody on Dutton Ranch will be able to escape the consequences. While Rob Will is trying to hold his control over Dutton Ranch, Sheriff Wade is quietly moving closer to the answers he has been searching for. For weeks, the investigation has been surrounded by confusion, missing information, and people who refuse to speak. But now, the situation is changing because the truth is becoming harder to hide. Sheriff Wade understands that one mistake can destroy an entire case. He cannot simply accuse Rob Will without proof. He needs something strong enough that nobody can ignore it. Something that connects every unanswered question and finally reveals what happened behind the scenes. And Episode 9 could be the moment when those missing pieces begin coming together. The investigation into Wes's disappearance has always felt incomplete. There were too many questions and not enough answers. Certain events never made sense. Some people gave explanations that created even more doubt. But as Sheriff Wade continues digging deeper, he may discover that the biggest clues were hidden inside the smallest details. A forgotten conversation, a suspicious decision, a person who suddenly changed their story. These details may seem unimportant at first, but together they could reveal a pattern that points directly toward Rob Will. The problem for Rob Will is that he has spent too much time believing he is untouchable. He believes he has covered every possible mistake and removed every possible threat. But people often make one mistake when they become too confident. They stop protecting themselves. Rob Will may have controlled the ranch, but he cannot control everyone's memories. He cannot erase every conversation. He cannot remove every piece of evidence. And most importantly, he cannot stop people from finally choosing the truth. This is where Sheriff Wade's investigation becomes dangerous for him. The closer Wade gets, the more nervous Rob Will may become. He may begin noticing changes around him. People who once supported him may start acting differently. Conversations may suddenly stop when he enters a room. People may avoid answering his questions. For someone like Rob Will, losing control is the greatest fear. Because his power has always depended on knowing what everyone else is doing. But now, for the first time, he may be the person being watched. And that could push him into making a desperate decision. Instead of staying calm and protecting himself, Rob Will may start looking for whoever is helping Sheriff Wade. He may try to discover who has been sharing information. He may pressure people who he believes are loyal to him. But every action he takes could create another problem. Every threat could create another enemy. Every mistake could bring Sheriff Wade closer to the evidence he needs. Meanwhile, Beth is also beginning her own investigation. She knows Sheriff Wade is searching for the truth, but she also understands that waiting for someone else to save the ranch is not an option. Beth has always been one of the smartest players in this battle. She knows that emotions can make people careless. She knows that anger can make people reveal their plans too early. That is why Beth's strategy may be completely different from everyone else's. She will not attack Rob Will without preparation. She will not make a move unless she knows it can change everything. Instead, she may start looking deeper into the decisions Rob Will has made since taking control. She may question agreements, follow financial details, and search for connections that others ignored. Because Beth knows one important thing. People who hide something always leave a trail behind. Rob Will may believe he has removed every threat, but Beth understands that the strongest weapon against him is not force. It is information. And if Beth finds the right information, Rob Will's entire position could collapse. At the same time, Rip is watching everything unfold. He understands the ranch better than most people, and he can feel that something is different. The people are divided. The leadership is unstable. The trust that once held everyone together is disappearing. Rip has spent his life protecting the ranch and the people he cares about. But now he faces a difficult choice. How long can he stay silent when the person in charge is becoming the biggest danger to everything he wants to protect? Rip is not someone who makes decisions quickly. He thinks carefully because he knows every action has consequences. But if Rob Will continues pushing people too far, even Rip may reach a point where staying quiet is no longer possible. And when Rip finally chooses a side, it could change the entire balance of power. Another person who may become important in episode 9 is Carter. Until now, Carter has been caught between conflicts much larger than himself. He never wanted to be part of these battles, but the ranch has a way of pulling everyone into its problems. Rob Will may see Carter as someone easy to control, someone young, someone who does not have enough power to become a threat. But that could be another mistake. Sometimes the people ignored by those in power are the ones who see the truth most clearly. If Carter discovers something important or becomes connected to Sheriff Wade's investigation, Rob Will may realize that the danger is coming from every direction. The biggest problem facing Rob Will is not one enemy. It is that everyone around him is starting to see the same thing. His control is weakening, his secrets are becoming exposed, and the people who once feared him are slowly finding the courage to stand against him. As episode 9 continues, the question is no longer whether Rob Will is in danger. The real question is how much damage he can do before the truth finally catches up with him. Because Sheriff Wade is closer than ever. Beth is searching for the evidence. Rip is reaching his limit. And Walkan may be preparing the move that changes everything. The battle for Dutton Ranch is becoming more dangerous with every passing moment. Rob Will still believes he has control, but the foundation beneath him is becoming weaker. The people around him are changing, the investigation is moving forward, and the one person who may be able to expose everything is now searching for the truth. Beth. For years, Beth has understood that survival is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is about knowing when to act. She has faced powerful enemies before, and she understands that emotions alone cannot win a war. A person can be angry and still lose. A person can be patient and take everything away from their opponent. That is exactly what makes Beth dangerous. Rob Will may think Beth is simply reacting to his decisions, but he does not understand how carefully she is watching him. Every move he makes, every person he speaks with, and every decision he takes could become another clue leading her closer to the truth. And in episode 9, Beth may finally discover something that changes the entire game. The evidence she has been searching for may not come from one major discovery. It may come from several smaller pieces that suddenly connect together. A document that was overlooked, a conversation that did not seem important, a person who knows more than they admitted. When those pieces come together, Beth may realize that Rob Will's plan was much bigger than anyone expected. The biggest danger for Rob Will is that Beth knows how to turn information into power. She does not need to fight him physically. She does not need to challenge him in front of everyone. She only needs one moment where she can reveal the truth and take away the confidence he has built. Because Rob Will's greatest weapon has always been fear. If people believe he is unbeatable, they will stay silent. But if Beth proves that he can be defeated, everything changes. The people who were afraid to speak may finally find their voice. The workers who followed his orders may begin questioning him. The people who stayed away from the conflict may finally choose a side. And Rob Will knows that losing support is more dangerous than losing an argument. Meanwhile, Sheriff Wade continues searching for the same answers from a different direction. Beth and Sheriff Wade may not be working together openly, but their goals are becoming connected. Both of them understand that Rob Will's downfall depends on one thing: proof. Without proof, Rob Will can continue denying everything. He can continue blaming others. He can continue convincing people that he is the victim. But with evidence, his entire defense could collapse. This creates a dangerous situation because Rob Will may begin realizing that two of his biggest threats are moving closer at the same time. Sheriff Wade has the investigation. Beth has the strategy. And together, they represent something Rob Will cannot control: the truth. As the pressure increases, Rob Will may begin showing a different side of himself. The confident leader who walked into the ranch believing he had won may start becoming more aggressive and unpredictable. He may start making decisions based on fear instead of logic. And that is when powerful people often make their biggest mistakes. A person who believes they are losing everything becomes willing to do anything to keep it. But every desperate move creates consequences. If Rob Will starts threatening the wrong people, he may create new witnesses. If he tries to hide more information, he may create more evidence. If he tries to silence his enemies, he may accidentally reveal exactly what they need to know. The more he fights against the truth, the closer the truth gets. While Beth searches for answers, Walkan continues facing his own internal battle. His anger toward Rob Will is growing, but his feelings about Bula's decision remain complicated. Walkan has always believed that loyalty means protecting family no matter what. But now he has to question whether protecting someone means allowing them to make dangerous choices. This conflict could become one of the most emotional parts of Episode 9. Because Walkan is not fighting only against Rob Will. He is fighting against years of disappointment. He gave everything to the ranch, he accepted sacrifices, he carried burdens that others avoided, but now he feels like his loyalty may have been taken for granted. That realization could transform him. The quiet person who always stood behind others may finally step forward. And if Walkan decides to reveal what he knows, Rob Will may face the one person who understands his weaknesses better than anyone else. The ranch itself. Every person connected to Dutton Ranch carries a piece of the truth. Some know about the past, some know about recent decisions, some know things they have been too afraid to say. But fear has an expiration date. Eventually, someone speaks. Eventually, someone breaks. Eventually, someone decides that staying silent is more dangerous than telling the truth. That moment may be coming closer. Episode 9 could be the episode where the balance of power finally begins shifting. Rob Will may still have authority, but authority means nothing when nobody believes in the person holding it. Beth is getting closer to the evidence. Sheriff Wade is getting closer to the answers. Walkan is getting closer to making a choice. And Rob Will is getting closer to the moment he has been trying to avoid. The moment when everyone discovers who he really is. Rob Will has always believed that control is the key to survival. From the moment he stepped into a position of power, he believed that confidence, pressure, and fear would be enough to keep everyone under his command. But now, for the first time, that strategy is beginning to fail. The people around him are changing. The ranch is changing. And Rob Will is starting to realize that the power he fought so hard to gain may be disappearing faster than he expected. Episode 9 could show the moment when Rob Will stops feeling like the person in control and starts feeling like the person being hunted. The investigation, the questions, and the growing resistance around him are creating pressure from every direction. But the biggest danger is not just Sheriff Wade or Beth. The biggest danger is that Rob Will is losing the trust of the people closest to him. A leader can survive enemies outside the walls, but when the people inside those walls begin turning against him, survival becomes much harder. This is exactly the position Rob Will may find himself in. He may begin noticing that his own people are no longer following him with the same confidence. They may still obey his orders, but obedience and loyalty are two completely different things. Someone can follow because they are afraid, but they will only stay because they believe. And Rob Will may have already lost that belief. As Sheriff Wade continues building his case, the pressure around Rob Will becomes impossible to ignore. Every new piece of information brings him closer to a moment he has been trying to avoid.